When was the last time you built a fire? Some of you are going to say last night. Some of you are going to go, oh, I don't know. When was the last camping trip I was on? We're going to talk about kindling, goal setting, intention, how passion is taking you to your purpose, but structure will actually get you there. Thank you for turning in to tend the flame. Did you notice I said turning in? That's actually the goal of this podcast, is to be a quiet space in the universe for you to hear yourself because action dispels doubt and wisdom creates clarity. So we come here together to remind ourselves just how good it can get. My name is Kate Breton. I'm so glad you're here today. So we recently, let's set the scene. It's the first rainy, cold winter day, and we come in. My son and I come into the house, and we are ready to make a fire. He runs out to get some wood. I do note that it probably will be wetter than I expect. We kind of roll right into our routine, and I decide to make hot chocolate at the same time. So my focus is split. That's the key, is that the focus is split. Did you know that multitasking is actually a farce? There's a wonderful book called The One Thing by real estate businessman Keller Williams. And he actually, one, I suggest the book because it's really well written. And if you are someone who needs another reminder of the power of focus and the reality of creating um, your intention into form, I would highly recommend it. He talks about multitasking, that it puts your brain in overdrive. And it's especially your prefrontal cortex and your hippocampus. And we know that when we are out of safety, we can't learn, we can't problem solve. Our view becomes very myopic. He also talks about the danger of our new work pattern of answering every email. I am definitely of the generation that doesn't have all the notifications on my phone. But did you see the study where high school students get around 250 notifications on their phone during a day? It makes it a little difficult to maintain focus. And so in this book, he talks about that when you are constantly interrupted, it hinders high level thinking. And it can take up to half an hour to re engage in deep focus if you are in a focused task. So, sidebar, just a little another tidbit for you if you're doing more than one thing at a time, which I think a podcast is a great thing to listen to while you're doing um, something else, like a laundry folding or something like driving and choosing to consume something nutritive. He said that college students that multitask are 62% more likely to chase unproductive tasks. Just a bunch of information. So we are making the hot chocolate with too wet of wood, and I realize that we on the third try that the fire isn't catching the way that it normally would because the elements have changed. But what was deceptive is, and this is just like when you start a new project, the fire was initially stacked with so much um, paper, like brown paper, and easily flammable product that it did the, where it catches, the orange flames dance. It is that fire energy that is contagious and immediately pleasing. But if we do not have sustainable, dry, structured, small pieces of wood stacked, preparing a deeper ember, the fire won't catch, right? It won't catch. And I was thinking about this as I was sitting there, eventually the fire caught. And I was thinking about the significance of kindling. When we had the firewood delivered, someone said, a lot of people just throw out the small scrap pieces. And he's like, but that's the kindling. I'm like, yeah, that's the kindling. And then my mind reminded me about this visual I saw about a mentor talking to like 12-year-old boys. And the boys were in a row, and he had these like flat discs that were like stepping stones. They were about a foot or 2 feet apart. There were a few of them. And the boys started at the line, and they were to like leapfrog onto the discs to get to the other side, get the high five from the coach. Yay, so fun. They got there. And then the coach took away the discs, and he said, okay, now you're at the starting line again. Leap to me. And the 12-year-old boy is like, oh, he's like, his shoulders is up and he's getting ready to jump. And the coach said, if you could reach me, I know you have the heart that you would, but the reality is you can't. No one can take one leap from the starting line to finish. And that's why you need goals. You need small goals. Break down your big goals, get them into small steps. And I thought in front of the fire, how significant is kindling? How significant is kindling? And if the plan and the focus isn't there, or if it is, but we don't have the kindling, or we don't celebrate the kindling, it can be really hard to achieve that goal. But on the inverse of that, if we plan out the small steps and we take notice to the kindling, it's very easy to achieve our goal. I've been listening to Myron Golden a lot. This is my one last sliver for you on this episode, this holiday week, where it's interesting because we slide into so much celebration. I love this season, but we can miss the small steps, the inward pull, the clarity of the year preparing for before us. For a lot of this is a time of year to repotentize what you believe in and celebrate what has brought you through the year. And so as much as we're external, to carve that space out for the internal. Joseph Campbell says it is so crucial to have a space, if not a room, a place, if not a place, an hour, that we return to ourselves to fortify. So the kindling, my friend, ends up becoming something that will carry us through. It will break down those small pieces. And this season, I think, is one where, with all of the pull of the outside, if we can stack and track what we're moving towards and have enough ability to do the small tasks, we'll see the big ones. So I was going to tell you before we leave that I've been listening to Myron Golden, just a brilliant mind. And it seems I have found his voice in the season of his mastery, I've even gone backwards and listened to some of his videos before, remembering, he had to do his small steps before the big one as well. And he made a biblical reference that so many people know the story of David and Goliath. He said, but what people forget is that when David was saying, I'll do this, putting himself in the ring to take down the giant, he referenced that he had already fought and won against a lion and a bear. And Myron said, so many of you are not stepping up to to meet the tasks of the lion and the bear, but you're focused on the Goliath. Just like the kid who thinks he can catapult himself from the start line to the finish line in one leap, and bless him for thinking that, because we want to support that enthusiasm and put the structure underneath it so that ember doesn't go out. And you have all of that in you too. So if the season starts to become too much, or something in the energies are changing, or you're facing a new choice in front of you, sit down, get real simple, get still, and make sure you have your kindling. Break down your small steps so you can be prepared for the big leaps. I am so glad that you're here. I hope this episode warms you. Please share with your friends, hit like. You would not believe how amazing all those little things help create this warm fire across our world of people who want to tune in, tend the flame, and live the best life possible. Thanks for tuning in.